I'm Nikki with Nikki Sweets and Adornments. Why don't you come and make Bluey with me today? Let me go over the materials you'll need to make Bluey. I really like to measure out all of my modeling paste, so I have a scale here. I have a palette with a little bit of water and an edible brush. I also have a cornstarch pouch, just in case it gets a little bit sticky, I can dust it. I have several circles, and that's to make the different spots on Bluey. I have a fondant rolling pin. I have a balling tool. I have a Dresden tool, a scalpel in case I need to cut any of it, and several toothpicks. Those are going to be my supports for later. And I also have a clay extruder. This is going to help me make the little lines around the eyes. The colors that I use to make Bluey are from Artisan Accents. I have Azure Blue, and I mixed that with a little bit of the black, and that's how I made this kind of medium blue shade. To get the dark cobalt kind of color, I used these two colors, and I also added a little bit of the deep purple. To get this color for the nose and the inside of the ears, I did a little bit of a beige color mixed with just a tiny bit of brown and a little bit of yellow. I'm going to start making Bluey's feet because they need a little bit of time to dry and firm up. Each foot is 4 grams. To make this lighter blue, I just used a tiny bit of this medium shade and just mixed it with white. It's almost white, but there's just a little hint of blue. So I just kneaded my modeling paste until it was nice and pliable, and then I'm going to roll them into balls. And I can feel it's just a little bit sticky, so I'm going to dust it with a little bit of cornstarch. Now I'm going to take my finger and kind of press on this part here. This is going to make the area where the toes are. And then I'm also going to kind of push this part up. This is kind of going to be the ankle and then going into the leg. So same thing with this one. So just pushing this part down where the toes are. This part's going to go up. This is going to be where the ankle is, and this is going to go into the leg up here. Then I'm going to take the pointed end of my Dresden tool. This is where I'm going to make the toes. So I'm going to put one there, and one there. Anytime I make a character that's very recognizable, like Bluey, I really suggest printing out a picture, a color picture of Bluey, and then you can kind of see, how many of these indentations you need to make for the toes. It'll really help you out in a lot of different areas. Now I'm going to take 2 toothpicks and I'm going to insert them all the way through. And I'm actually going to take a styrofoam piece, and you just want to make sure that the feet are nice and upright. And I'm just going to set these aside and let them firm up a little bit. Meanwhile, I'm going to move on to the body of Bluey. For the body, I need 70 grams of this medium blue. And I'm just going to start by kneading it. And then I'm going to start rolling it in a ball, and I'm going to press down on both sides because I want to make sure that the body of Bluey is going to be nice and smooth. And now we're actually going to go from a ball to more of kind of like a oval shape, a long kind of oval, almost a rectangle. And it's a little bit sticky, so I'm just going to dust it a little bit. And I'm actually kind of flattening it down a little bit too. And if you look at the shape of Bluey, it's actually kind of, the bottom and the top are kind of flat. So I can actually use my mat here to kind of help me out with that. So I'm just going to make it a little bit longer, I think. We're getting close though. Okay, I think I'm happy with this. Now, Bluey has lots of different circles. I'm going to start with this light blue one down here. So I'm going to go back to my light blue. This is where I'm going to use my fondant rolling pin. I want to roll it out pretty thin because you don't want to have kind of a step down to the other color. And then I'm going to take this circle cutter. Now, the circle cutters you can get in a set where there's all different sizes. You can find the one that's appropriate for you. Now, I don't want this bottom part, so I'm just going to kind of mark with my Dresden tool where I want to cut it and take it off, and then I'm just going to cut that part off. I'm just going to add a little bit of water for my glue. And now I'm going to move on to the dark blue circles. So again, I'm going to roll this out pretty thin. If you look at the blue spots on Bluey, they actually vary a lot in size. I have a boba tea straw that I actually cut to make just a really small circle. So I'm going to make this size. I'm going to make one that's this size. And maybe some larger ones. You notice the ones that are around his eyes are actually a little bit on the larger side. So make 2 for those. And again, I'm just going to use my water as edible glue. Okay, I'm going to work on this little nose muzzle part of Bluey. For that, I'm going to need 6 grams of this kind of flesh tone color. And I'm just going to knead it at first. And then roll it into a ball. Make sure my ball doesn't have any cracks. I'm going to kind of slightly flatten it down a little bit. And then I'm going to... So it's still a little sticky. I'm going to take my 2 fingers and kind of do this. So I want the top to be kind of pointed like this. And the bottom is going to kind of flare out. Now right here is where Bluey's mouth is going to be. I'm going to take my Dresden tool and just make a line where the mouth would be. And I'm just going to attach this right above this light blue part. Let's move on to Bluey's eyes. Each eye is going to only be 1 gram. And for the eyes, I have just white modeling paste. I'm going to roll them into balls at first. And then I'm going to press down the balls. And eventually I want them to be more of an oval shape. So I can just take my fingers, kind of do this to make it more into an oval shape than a round shape. And do you see how by weighing out the paste, you can get two really similar eye shapes? Okay, I'm just gonna put a little bit of water to glue on my eyes. Bluey has these two very light blue eyebrows. I'm just going to take a little bit of the light blue and roll it into a snake. And then I'm just going to attach the eyebrows with a little bit of water. It seems a little short. I'm gonna just lengthen it a little bit. When you're making cartoon characters, if you make the eyebrows curved like this, then they look nice and happy. Okay, I have some black modeling paste. And I'm just gonna get a little bit of the black to make the end of this nose. Not even sure if the scale will pick up the weight. I'm guessing it's about 0.5 grams or so. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't even really pick up the weight. So I'm just going to flatten it at first, the circle. Just sticky, let's see. I'm going to take my fingers, and if I kind of go like this, it makes a triangle. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right at this tip. Now I also need to make the pupils inside the eyes. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just make a very small circle and then I'll cut that in half just so I know that the size will be similar. And the inside of his eyes, if you look, it's actually going to be a little bit of an oval shape. So I just kind of make a circle and then I kind of press it down and then make it more into an oval shape. And I'm going to glue it a little off center. Now this is an optional step, but I notice if I outline the eyes with black, it just looks a little bit more cartoon-like. So if you'd like to do that, I use a clay extruder. So you'll just roll your black modeling paste, and I just roll it into a snake and I fit it in the extruder. And I'm going to use the piece that's just a very small circle. And out comes my black modeling paste. And I doubt that I'll need any more than that, so I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to take a little bit of water and go around the eye, and then I'll just take more than I think I'll need. Carefully just go around the eye. Okay, you see how the eyes just kind of pop a little bit more now that I have the black around? I'm going to go back to my feet now, and I'm going to add my legs onto the tops of the feet. Each leg is going to be 3 grams. So I'll need 6 total grams for both legs. So I'm just going to roll this in a ball and then cut it in half. So first I'm rolling into a ball, and then I'm going to roll it more into a log or a snake shape. And I'm just testing them out to make sure that they're about the same size. I'm going to use my mat here to flatten the ends. Then I'm going to take some water, place it on the top of my feet, and I'm going to just gently twist on each leg. Until you see the toothpick comes out. And I'm just gonna kind of work and make sure that the leg is kind of blended into the foot. And I'm just gonna set those aside for a minute. I'm gonna start working on the arms. Each arm is 3 grams, so I'll need 6 total. I'm going to roll it into a ball and then just cut the ball in half. And same thing, I'm going to roll it into a ball at first and then roll it more into a log shape. And just kind of seeing if they're about the same. Now it'd be difficult to put the arm on like this. So what I want to do is I want to cut it at an angle like this. That way, when I go to stick the arm on, you see how much nicer it sticks on? So that'll be this arm. And I'm going to do the same thing for this side. So if I cut it at an angle right there, my arm's just going to stick on really nice like that. So those are my 2 arms. We're going to move on to the little hands. We're going to go back to the light blue. And each hand is 1 gram. That's 2, so I'm just going to cut that in half. So after I have the balls, I'm just going to kind of flatten them a little bit. So now I have circles. And I'm going to cut a piece like this, and then cut out another piece like this. And this is actually going to make my little thumb. And you get kind of sharp corners, so I just take my finger and kind of soften those a little bit. Then I'm going to make 3 more fingers here. And see how they're also a little bit sharp. So I'm just going to take my finger and just kind of soften them a little bit. And this is going to be a more cartoony style kind of hand. Okay, so there's going to be my right. Now make sure when you do the hands that you do the thumbs on the right side. So now I'm going to take a toothpick and I'm going to stick it through the arm. I'm going to put a little bit of water on the end of the arm. way I can stick my little hand. And then the same thing for the other side. I'm just gonna break off a little bit of my toothpick just so it's not so long to stick in. And I'm actually gonna kind of make a hole here so it's not so hard to stick in. All right, let's move on to Bluey's ears. Each ear is gonna be 3 grams. I'm going to start by rolling each piece into a ball. And then I'm just going to flatten each ball. And I'm going to take my fingers and make a triangle. If you look at Bluey's ears, he actually has very pointy triangle-shaped ears. And if I want to, I can flatten the bottom with my mat. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to cut off the edges just to get a nice, really sharp, clean edge. So there's the outside of my ears. Just going to take a little bit more of this flesh color and roll it out. And what I can do is make it the size of my ear at first, and then I know I just need to make it a little bit smaller than that. Just going to make a more narrow triangle and kind of test it on for size. I think maybe I could go even a little smaller. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And just attach it with a little bit of water. And I'm just going to stick a toothpick in the ear. You would want to make sure and tell your clients that these are not edible just because of the toothpicks in the piece. And I'm just going to start a hole with another toothpick so it's easy to stick in. Okay, we have both the ears now. Okay, I'm going to bring my legs back. And I'm just going to make 2 little dots on the bottom of my body where I want the legs to go. And I'm going to, again, put the toothpick in where I want the hole. I'm gonna add some water on the top of my legs and also on the bottom of the body. I need to make the tail of Bluey. I'm gonna go back to my medium shade of blue. I'm gonna need 17 grams. So I just kneaded out my modeling paste. I'm gonna roll it into a ball, and then I'm gonna make it more into a teardrop shape. I'm going to kind of flatten it just a little bit. I'm going to take my Dresden tool. If you look at Bluey's tail, it kind of has all these little humps. So that's just what I'm working on right now. So you just kind of take the tool and kind of rock it back and forth. And it'll make all these different little humps. Then I'm going to go to my darker blue. And you'll notice that the end of the tail is actually darker blue. And then I'm just going to drape it over the medium blue. And once I get to the back, I'm just going to use some scissors and cut off the excess. Now I can go back with my Dresden tool, just kind of accentuate some of these humps. I'm going to stick a toothpick in the tail, and then I'm just going to put water on the back. I'm just going to start a hole with a toothpick where I want it to go. Okay, and my Bluey is complete. What do you think?